I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, San Diego Assemblyman Ben Hueso is apologizing tonight after being arrested for driving under the influence in Sacramento. This is move-in day for California State University students, and one campus is giving a warning to students and their parents.
And we'll take a look at the new Veterans Clinic in Sorrento Valley, which aims to reduce patient wait times by half. I'm Peggy Pico. Also ahead, San Diego's kitten nursery is filled to the brim with about 500 kittens, some just a few hours old. Why so many? And how you can adopt one.
And we'll show you how law enforcement is going online to help fight crime in some San Diego communities. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. A state senator from San Diego is facing 2 counts of driving under the influence tonight. Ben Hueso was arrested in Sacramento earlier this morning. Highway Patrol says he was spotted driving the wrong way on a one-way street at about 2:30 in the morning. Now, last night, Hueso was photographed by Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez at a Latino caucus gathering. Several of the people in the photo were holding drinks. Hueso was freed on $1,500 bail shortly before noon and told reporters he would pursue his innocence. But after his release, his office issued a statement apologizing for the arrest and saying he would accept responsibility and any punishment. The statement said Hueso would take corrective action to make sure it never happens again. He is the 4th Democratic state senator to be arrested this year. The others were all suspended. Tomorrow marks 1 year since former Mayor Bob Filner resigned over claims of sexual harassment. Now Filner is facing a new civil suit filed by his former executive assistant. It claims at least 36 instances of sexual harassment, including making lewd comments and groping. Benelia Hunter Santos' lawyer says she was also one of the 3 Jane Does mentioned in the criminal case Filner pleaded guilty to. The city must defend Filner in the legal proceedings. A former San Diego police officer is facing up to a year in jail after pleading guilty today to multiple charges. Christopher Hayes was accused of sexual misconduct and illegally detaining 4 women while on duty. His attorney says the plea deal was in the best interest of his client and not because he committed the crimes. Cal State San Marcos is warning parents tonight and students about a sexual assault that happened 4 months ago. KPBS education reporter Matt Bowler looked into why it took so long. He joins us now from the newsroom. So first, Matt, remind us what actually happened.
Well, on May 4th, a woman accused members of the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity of drugging and raping her at a house party in Oceanside. From the get-go of the investigation, the university was involved. Bridget Blanchin is a Cal State San Marcos Title IX representative, and she says they waited to inform the public because the university didn't want to inadvertently compromise the investigation.
Well, the investigation started with Oceanside Police, and so when local law enforcement is involved, we partner with them. The university also engaged in fact-finding through the summer to determine if there was possibly a wider scope to the problem.
And Matt, what was the result of this investigation?
Well, the university is accusing the frat of being involved in another sexual assault, along with a litany of other crimes, ranging from pervasive hazing, victim and witness intimidation, harassment, vandalism, providing illegal drugs and alcohol to minors. Blanchin and the university are telling students not to hang out with the TKE frat members.
We want students to be particularly careful with whom they associate. We're encouraging students to be aware of this should they be inclined to associate with a TKE event.
Now, in a statement, the university says that going to a TKE party could put students in danger of sexual assault and date rape drugs.
And what happened to the fraternity?
Well, the frat was originally kicked off of CSU San Marcos' campus back in 2005. They've been functioning as an unofficial frat since then. The national fraternity put the chapter on temporary suspension pending the investigation. We've got more information about what students can do on our website at kpbs.org.
Our education reporter, Matt Bowler. Next week, we will take an in-depth look at the problem of sexual assault on campus. Join us for coverage starting Monday morning on Morning Edition on KPBS Radio. Of course, this is move-in day for students at Cal State San Marcos and San Diego State University. 5,000 freshmen are settling in at SDSU, and San Marcos is welcoming 13,000 students, its largest ever in the North County. A day after a campaign to overturn San Diego's minimum wage increase, a group backing higher wages countered with a campaign of its own today. Raise Up San Diego's telling voters simply don't sign it. They want voters to avoid petitions seeking to overturn the ordinance. Councilwoman Sherry Leitner says signature gatherers will lie to get folks to sign.
If they tell you lies that the public must weigh in via petition, don't sign it. If they tell you lies that small businesses will close and people will lose jobs because of the measure, don't sign it. If they tell you lies that this is a job killer, don't sign it.
Supporters of the referendum need about 34,000 voter signatures in 30 days. If they do, the minimum wage increase will be delayed until after a public vote. That likely won't happen until June 2016. If you see signature gatherers in San Diego, we'd like to hear about your experience with them. Tell us about it at kpbs.org/source. Democrats plan to spend $3 million in state funds to get legal help for immigrant children from Central America. Assembly Speaker Tony Atkins says the money will come from savings in the Assembly budget and will go to nonprofit groups helping migrants. Republican lawmakers say they need to review the plan, but their votes aren't needed to pass it because Democrats control the state legislature. Navy ships in the Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group left San Diego today on their way to the Western Pacific and Middle East. The group includes an aircraft carrier, a guided missile cruiser, and 3 destroyers carrying over 6,000 sailors. San Diego's VA healthcare system held a grand opening today for their new Veterans Clinic in Sereno Valley. Peggy Pico explains how it will expand medical services to local vets.
The nearly 10,000 square foot Sorrento Valley Clinic is designed to offer medical and mental health services to an estimated 17,000 veterans each year. VA officials say the new clinic will help reduce long wait times for patients seeking an appointment. Here with further details is my guest, Cindy Hebert, Associate Director of San Diego's Veterans Health Care System. And welcome, Cindy.
Thank you.
Now tell us a little more about this new clinic in Sorrento Valley. What kind of services are offered?
Yes, as you mentioned, it is a 10,000 square foot clinic and will offer primary care, mental health. We'll also have laboratory services there, pharmacy services, and women's health.
And you mentioned behavioral health as well.
That's correct, mental health services as well.
But no, just to be clear, no emergency room and no pharmacy on site.
That's correct. That's
okay.
correct.
Earlier this summer, the VA reported that wait times for new patients of up to 44 days to get to be seen. What is that like now?
Right now, we're averaging 5 days for all of our all of our established patients for primary care, specialty, and mental health. So that's an average. And for our newly enrolled veterans, we're averaging 20 days. So we have reduced that significantly since the first report.
Yeah, more than cut in half. What about the new clinic? How is that going to help ease the situation?
The new clinic is an opportunity for us to expand our capacity at this clinic. As you mentioned, we will have the ability to see approximately 7,200 additional patients. We'll have 6 primary care teams there. Each team is comprised of a provider, either a physician or a nurse practitioner, an RN, an LVN, and a medical support assistant. And each team will have the capacity to see about 1,200 patients. So it will help us to increase our overall capacity, timeliness, etc.
And is that because this sort of gridlock for the veterans, is that actually a space issue? Did San Diego outgrow their capacity to help veterans seek medical services?
Yes, that's part of the issue. Over the past probably 20 years or so, San Diego VA Medical Center has increased our workload about 5% a year, and we did outgrow our space. And this is one of several initiatives that we have had underway for some time to be able to accommodate our growing workload.
When can patients start making appointments, and when will they be seen?
Monday morning, the 20 25th, August 25th. Clinic hours are 7:30 to 4, and we can begin seeing patients at that time. If veterans would like to contact us, our contact information is on our website.
And is there direct public transportation? Because that's sort of a North County, one might call it a North County area.
The closest public transportation would be the coaster stop there at Sorrento Valley. It is about a 3/4 of a mile distance from the coaster station to the clinic, but it's relatively close by. In the future, we may be offering shuttle services, but we have not implemented that at this time.
Well, I understand San Diego's VA health system will get some new federal funding. Can you tell me how much that's going to be and where it's going to be spent?
Sure. Nationally, the VA is receiving approximately $17 billion, and that's for a variety of things. For non-VA private health care, so that we can assist veterans in being seen more timely, sending them into the community if they choose. We, at this point, do not know the portion that San Diego will receive. We'll know that
of that $17 billion.
Of that $17 billion, San Diego will receive a portion, and we do not know at this point what our allotment will be.
Will there be plans, or I should ask, are there plans to expand and do these clinics in other areas to, again, relieve some of the pressure here?
The legislation that was recently passed did allow for 2 clinics that impact San Diego, the replacement of our Mission Valley Clinic. Right now, we're in a 50,000 square foot space where we're co-located with the Veterans Benefits Administration. So the plan would be to move that clinic to a separate building, a separate location at approximately 165,000 square feet. We're at 50,000 square feet now. So legislation did approve that at $11.9 million. And the second clinic would be Chula Vista. Right now we're in a clinic of about 10,000 square feet, and it will allow us to expand to a 30,000 square foot clinic somewhere in the Chula Vista area.
All right. Well, we'll be keeping our eye on that. And Veterans Healthcare System, Cindy Bear, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Kevin Faulconer's leadership is about to be tested. In Sacramento, Governor Jerry Brown proposes a water bond, and Lorena Gonzalez gets things done. And rideshare upstart Uber takes market share from taxi cabs. I'm Mark Sauer. Join us for the KPBS Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
Ever think about becoming Facebook friends with your local police officer? Nextdoor.com is partnering with law enforcement agencies to connect them online with neighbors they serve. KPBS reporter Claire Traeger tells us how it's working out with a couple of officers.
In the past few months, the streets of the Santa Fe Hills neighborhood in San Marcos have been filled with a sound many of us know all too well: a law enforcement helicopter broadcasting an indecipherable message.
Whenever that happens, all the neighbors flock to Nextdoor to say, hey, what's the helicopter saying? Because no one can usually understand what it's saying. In some cases, people have heard armed and dangerous, in which it wasn't someone armed and dangerous.
San Marcos resident Kevin Meekum is talking about a website called Nextdoor.com. It's sort of like Facebook, except people have to prove who they are and where they live, and can only see posts from people who live nearby. The website is meant to build neighborhood communities, which is what Meekum was hoping for when he joined a few years ago. He says it's worked great.
We've organized 3 potlucks already, a gigantic national night out. We've helped neighbors find lost dogs. We've helped fight crime, too.
Meekum's group has become like a virtual neighborhood watch, posting about the helicopters and other crime reports. They even helped one of his neighbors find her stolen car. So Meekum got in touch with his local law enforcement agency, the San Diego Sheriff's Department. He emailed Sheriff spokeswoman Jan Caldwell to ask if they'd post updates and information on the website, and she said no.
As someone that's supposed to interface with the public, she showed no interest in doing so whatsoever.
After KPBS asked about the issue, we heard from San Marcos Sheriff's Captain Scott Ibarrando. He says he'll now look into the website and could post some information there, but not crime alerts or breaking news updates.
If you look at how many neighborhoods are within San Diego County, you know, we're all the way out from Borrego to Fallbrook, Vista. The best avenue is at our communication center, which is in Kearney Mesa, to push out real-time information.
Captain Ibarrando called Meekum to say he'd connect him with someone in the Sheriff's Department who could give him information to post. He also says they'll look into making the speakers on the helicopter louder. While Nextdoor is meant to connect neighbors on lots of different issues, it's also focused on creating connections between residents and law enforcement. So says Kathy Stadler, a Nextdoor field manager in San Diego.
We have had members that have sent in private messages with tips about, houses that are having drugs sold from them, and then the police are able to act on those and make arrests and clean up the area.
Nextdoor has teamed up with the La Mesa, Carlsbad, and San Diego police departments. San Diego officer Matthew Tortorella, who runs the program, says they do post breaking news, unlike the sheriff's department.
It also gives the neighbors and the residents in that division a chance to actually reach out to an officer. Maybe not literally face-to-face, but virtually face-to-face. They can have direct communication and ask questions that maybe they wouldn't feel free just to come down to the police station just to ask an officer.
Recently, a resident sent a tip to a police officer about a suspicious car in the neighborhood.
It turns out to be a stolen vehicle. And in addition, after conducting a more intense investigation, that vehicle had been used in a series of commercial burglaries in that area. So it was really, a key piece of evidence into a crime spree.
The website is free to use, but eventually Nextdoor hopes to make money by running ads for local businesses. Meekum says if they make unwelcome changes, he can switch to another website.
Now we're at least introduced with one another. So if we decide to jump ship at some point and use a different platform or a homemade platform, at least we now know one another and know how to coordinate something like that.
In the meantime, Meekum is hopeful the sheriff's department comes around and agrees to meet him and his neighbors where they are already gathering online.
This isn't me saying, why aren't you guys doing this? It's me saying, hey, look what we discovered. This is amazing and it's helpful. We'd like you to take a look.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Video journalist Nick McVicker helped produce that report. We've got more about Nextdoor.com and a link to the site at kpbs.org.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. As the Emmys near, we talk to the real Piper who inspired the Netflix hit Orange is the New Black. That's Friday on the PBS News Hour.
A fresh egg farm in Lakeside has invested in a state-of-the-art cage-free hen house. It comes after California voters passed Proposition 2 requiring farmers to change the way egg-producing hens are housed by next year. Hilliker's Ranch Fresh Egg Farm has been serving San Diego consumers since 1942. This is where 15,000 eggs are produced every day. Now this third-generation family farm is undergoing a major transition. From the standard industry cages housing up to 12 birds per cage to a wide-open hen house or aviary, giving the birds free rein to roam.
Are they happier? I think ultimately, yeah, they could be.
Frank Hilliker grew up on the family farm and says he was against the cage-free idea for 40 years, but California voters approved a measure in 2008 requiring farmers to provide more space for egg-laying hens.
The good news is that for the age of the flock, they're where they need to be in production, even a little bit higher than I thought they would be.
Producing about 8,000 eggs a day. This is a snapshot of what's going on across the state for egg farmers, scrambling to meet next year's deadline to provide these chicks more space. Williker has invested $200,000 to upgrade one hen house, with 4 more to go. Julie Walker with the County Farm Bureau says that's $1 million investment for a small business owner.
He's willing to do it because he has faced his challenge and he's made a triumph out of it. But he needs the business, he needs the purchases of the eggs, he needs the cooperation of the same public who voted in these changes to make his business a success.
Williker says he already has funding to upgrade a second barn, but the time frame for the rest is uncertain based on revenue generation. You don't usually see a cat story on our newscast, but as Peggy Pico explains, this exception is for a good cause, saving animals at San Diego's 24-hour kitten nursery.
kitten season is that time of the year when most kittens are born, and here in San Diego, the peak of the season is right now. Many shelters can't handle the surge. One national study found 38% of all animals euthanized in 2008 were kittens. The San Diego Humane Society is trying to improve the survival rates. Its president and CEO, Dr. Gary Weitzman, who also co-hosts the radio show The Animal House, which airs on KPBS, is here with further details, and he's here with his friend Simba. Welcome.
Right. Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Good to have you. Now, San Diego's Kitten Nursery started in 2009. Why did it start, and how many kittens have been rescued so far?
Yeah, we started it because we really wanted to save the lives of every adoptable animal in San Diego. So in 2009, we realized the only way to save these guys, there were so many underage kittens in San Diego, was to have a safe place for them. So we created the first nursery in the United States. So far, probably about 6,000 kittens have gone through it.
Since 2009. What are some of the different areas in the nursery? Walk us through this and tell us what it's like right now. How many are there in our peak season?
Oh, I haven't counted them myself, but I'm told right now we've got about 200 down here in San Diego. Our campus up in Oceanside, we've got another 150. We probably have about 200 kittens out on our floors for adoption. So right now we've got, did you do the math? We've got something like 500 kittens that are soon going to, either available or soon going to be available.
Now, Simba is one of them. Looks like a Siamese just to me off the top of my head. What kind of care did Simba get? What kind of care do you offer?
Yeah, as soon as they, what do you think, Boo Boo Boy? Well, they can come to us even as young as an hour old. And when they do, they're in our newborn area, and they have 24-hour care by our nurses that are actually angels, the women that are taking care of these guys. And then they graduate up to a little bit of a holding period, but then they go right into our behavior section so that we can actually start to get them socialized to people. And we've got wonderful staff and volunteers that come in and work with these guys every hour to get them used to people, because it doesn't help if we can get them old enough to get into homes, but then they don't like people.
Well, how do kittens like Simba here, who looks like he's a little bit relaxed?
I know, he's a little relaxed.
He's like, I'm relaxed. How do they end up in your nursery?
We get them from the public, finding them, or people that have excess litters. Please get your cats spayed and neutered so that this doesn't happen. Or most of our cats come from the other shelters in San Diego that actually transfer them to us to get them to a place of safety. And we take care of them, we do the medical care, get them spayed and neutered like this little guy, and then we get them into homes.
What's the survival rate of the kittens that come to you? That's okay, he can come up here and come see me.
He's going to come and see you.
Yeah, come see me. What's the survival rate, and basically how many kittens get adopted?
Yeah, we actually do super charts to make sure that we're staying on target with survival rates, and it's well over 90%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Even though I know San Diego shelters are no-kill animal shelters, I know animals there are still being euthanized.
Right.
So you're trying to change that with this Getting to Zero initiative.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, Getting to Zero is really our initiative to save the life of every adoptable animal. We know there's always going to be some euthanasia. Aggressive animals that aren't safe for the public, or animals that are too ill to be placed. But it's all those other ones that we want to make sure we save their lives. And to date, we've got about 45,000 animals in the shelter system, like this little guy. And we just want to make sure that they can all safely get into homes.
Well, recently the San Diego Humane Society actually merged with the organization PAWS. What's the goal of that merger?
That merger, to me, is the whole future of animal sheltering. We want to make sure that people can keep their pets and that they don't enter the shelter system in the first place. And what PAWS has been doing so well in San Diego for about 30 years is to actually help people keep their pets. So their populations are the elderly, homeless, people that have disabilities or chronic illnesses that may not be able to afford veterinary care or food. And that's what PAWS is all about. So by bringing them into the Humane Society, we can actually work on that whole at-risk group to actually keep these guys with their people. Those are the people that often need them the most.
Well, I know Simba, I noticed there was a little tattooer mark showing that he'd been
it's not of a ship or anything.
Yeah, actually, but actually been neutered.
Yeah, he's already been neutered and vaccinated.
So is there any available help for low-income families to neuter and spay their pets?
Yeah, great question. We have a very big community spay neuter program, so anybody that has a need financially to get their animals spayed or neutered, contact the Humane Society. We're happy to do it at low cost, sometimes even free. And we do it 7 days a week. So just contact us and we'll get you right in.
Some good information. Humane Society's Gary Weitzman and Simba, thank you very much.
Pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much, Peggy.
We've talked chickens, we've talked cats, now the dogs are begging for some equal time, and next year it'll be legal for them to hang out with you at a restaurant. Governor Brown signed a bill overturning the state's ban on pets in outdoor dining areas. Restaurants don't have to allow pets, but if they want to, they have some guidelines now, so Fido won't have to wait for a doggy bag. It'll be a nice weekend to take Fido out to Dog Beach, but beware of high surf for the next couple of days, especially along southerly facing beaches. Temperatures beachside upper 70s. As for the inland valleys, low to mid 80s in the daytime, mid 60s at night. Sunny in the mountains, mid 70s to low 80s there. And for the desert, sunshine with temperatures hovering in the triple digits. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Now, before we leave, we want to bid farewell to assistant producer Emily Burns. For the past year, she's held the KPBS Penner Fellowship, named for the late Gloria Penner. Emily's wrapping up her fellowship and moving on, not far, to our media partner 10 News, of course. We will miss her, and we wish her all the best. Thanks for joining us. You have a great weekend.